everybody, I'm Tom Vassell.
And I'm very short, Mike Delisio.
And today we're reviewing...
which...
9 Lives. Actually, this is the way the box is.
Correct.
It's just written on the side like that. This is a trick-taking game. And trick-taking's having a bit of a comeback here in 2023. Over the last 2 years, more games have come out. This is from Japan originally, which is where a lot of this trick-taking renaissance has begun.
It seems to be, yes. And this designer specifically has been quite renowned for their kind of clever take on trick-taking.
What else have they done?
They did American Bookshop. They did Ghosts of Christmas. Those are the two that I can think of off the top of my head.
I have not played those, but I have played this one here. So Mike's going to show us how to play it, and we'll be right back.
9 Lives is a trick-taking card game for 3 or 4 players. In a 4-player game, you're going to use all 4 suits made up of numbers from 1 to 9. In a 3-player game, you'll remove the blue fish suit, but this is set up as a 4-player game. And what you're going to do is the following. You're going to deal out 9 cards to each player. Let's say that this is my hand of cards. And let's say that I also am the first player denoted by this nice little yarn ball here. I'm playing as the blue player. I would look at my hand and try to determine how many tricks I think I'm going to win. The one thing that you would want to know is that the purple suit here is the trump suit. So I'm going to assume you have some understanding of trick-taking games, and this, knowing that I don't have a whole lot of trump, I've got 1 9 in here. I don't feel like this is a terribly strong hand. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my cat, and I'm going to place it on one of these spots around the prediction mat, okay? So let's say I feel like I'm going to win 1 trick. I could place my cat on either side, pointing directly at that one. That means that I feel like I'm exactly going to win 1 trick. If I want to hedge my bet a little bit, I can say, well, I could easily get 2, it's possible, but I still think I might hit 1. You can lay your cat vertically like this, so you're covering up both of those numbers. Now, another thing to know is that the numbers wrap around, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, okay? Then in clockwise player order, other cats are going to be placing theirs. Now, I could not do the red player could not do this, could not do this. It could do that. It can do the same thing over there. It can point just towards the 2 here. Let's say it did that. Let's say the yellow player, I don't see a lot of purples in there either. Let's just say for the sake of argument, they can't go for 2 at all. Let's say they wanted to go exactly 3, and the brown player wanted to hedge theirs and go 3 and 4. So you could do something like that. Once everyone has made their predictions in player order, then you're going to go and play what is, in some senses, a standard trick-taking game, meaning that the lead player is going to play out a card, okay? Let's say, for example, I wanted to play out this yellow 2. The other players would have to follow suit if they could, all right? In this case, this player only has 1 option. They have to play that 8. This player could look and say, I've got, I'm not going to win this one. Let me get rid of my low card. They're 1. This player, if they have a yellow, they have to play it, which they do. And it looks like in this case, they'd play the 5. Okay, so in this case, the brown player won because they have the highest card of the lead suit. They are going to win the trick. They're going to move their trick marker up here to show that they've won 1 trick. All right. And, sorry, this is the red player. And then one of the kind of twists here is that the winner of the trick, has to take one of the other cards that were played. They can't take their own card back. They have to take one of the other cards from that trick back into their hand. So perhaps they'd go ahead and take this 1 yellow card back into their hand. And then the winner of the trick will lead the next trick. You're going to continue to play that until one player has run out of cards in their hand. Once that happens, that is the end of the round. What you will do then is score, and that's going to be based upon where you end up here. All right, so let's say that the red player had won exactly 2 tricks. The brown player had won maybe 5 tricks. The blue player had won 2 tricks, and the yellow player had won 4 tricks. I'm just putting this out there to kind of give you an idea. If you exactly hit the number that you bet on, and you only bet on one number, you're going to get 4 points. So in this case, the red player would get 4 points. The blue player was correct, but they bet on 2. So they're going to get a lower score. They're going to get 2 points. So if you hit your bet and you hedged your bet a little bit, you're going to get 2. The yellow player bet 4, and they were 1 off. You can't go below 0, but you would lose 1 point normally for every difference between what you bet and what you bid. So they would have had -1. Again, you can't go below 0, so they're going to stay on 0. And the brown player had bet 3 or 4, but they actually won 5, so they would also be at 0. They would have lost 1 otherwise. You're going to continue to play through this until you either play through 4 rounds and then whoever has the highest point value wins, or if any player gets to that 9th point, that will also end the game. If tied, then all tied players wins. That is 9 lives.
So this game has 2 hooks. The smaller hook is sticking your cat around the outside of the thing.
Yes.
You can go for 2 numbers or 1.
2 or 1, and the fact that there's only the 4 spots, but they wrap around. So the 1 and the 5 is the same spot, and the 2 and the 6
It's a
is
little
the same
weird,
spot.
actually.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure what the reasoning behind that is. I mean, I do it. It's weird, though.
It is weird because it's very unlikely you're going to be like, oh, I think I'm going to win 1 or 5. You know what I mean? That's not going to be
You're
typically
picking the one you're going to go for.
Right, and you're potentially blocking other players, too.
Picking the tricks you're going to win, is, again, it's not unique to this game. There's a lot of games that do that. But I will say, unlike other trick-taking games where you predict stuff, I found in this one, I would pick the number of tricks, I would think maybe, and then I would work towards that end harder, as opposed to some other games I sit there and go, I'm going to take 4.
Yeah.
Here, I thought my predicting skills, what's the word for that? Prognostication or whatever?
I'm not going to even try to
Look it
help
up
you
on
with this
Wikipedia.
one.
It's a thing.
Yeah.
But my skills there are not very good. I had a hard time deciding if I was going to win something or not. But once I did that, then I'm trying to do it, if that makes sense.
Oh, absolutely. It makes sense. Your scores, the way the scoring works incentivizes that for sure. But also the fact that you can see the backs of the other players' cards. You can see how many trump cards they have. You can see how many of each particular suit they have. That aspect is open information. I think that helps a little bit because, like you said, there are other trick-taking games where you have to kind of bet on what your winning is going to be. You get a little bit more information here.
But then even beyond that, sometimes where you want to bet isn't even there.
Right. That's
so,
very true.
So I feel like that's an interesting part, but that's not the main conceit of this game. The main conceit of this game I've never seen before.
Right.
Is when you win a trick, you're keeping one of the cards of
Can't
that
be the
trick.
one you played, but otherwise any other card.
Right, and I'm sure they found that playtesting real quick going, no, that's a bad idea.
That wouldn't work very
I played
well.
the 9. The 9.
Right.
But I like that concept, but it's weird because it changes the number of cards people have. It changes when a trick will end. I mean, a round will end.
Yeah, and I found that to be a very interesting thing. You're right. You would think that you've seen it before. I've never seen it before. If it's out there, I've not come across it. But it really does change because sometimes you'll think, oh, this is going to be the last round because they only have 1 card. But if they win that trick, it's not the last card because you get another one back. You know what I mean?
And that's what I'm saying. It comes into play with how many you think you're going to win, too.
Right.
I'm going to win. Oh, I can't win 5. Oh, wait a minute. I played the 9 and you played the 8. Now I have the 8.
Right.
Now I'm going to win another trick.
Right.
But because you, again, that's why I think the predicting's hard. You don't know the cards everyone else is going to play.
Sure. Of course not.
So this is a weird trick taker.
Yes.
It's not going to be for everybody.
No.
I want to be clear. I like it. But I would never want to play this with people who've never played a trick taking game before. This is a little too wonky.
No. Yeah, this is definitely, what's interesting is that it follows most of the standard trick-taking rules, right? Where, you have to follow the lead suit, and there's a trump suit and all that kind of stuff. So it's relatively similar in that way or approachable in that way. But those 2 changes are enough that I 100% agree with you. I would not make this an introductory trick-taking game. But if you like trick-taking games and you want a little twist, this one is not as wonky as some of the others, even by the same designer.
That's true. I guess it's more wonky in learning to play it well.
Yes.
It is not wonky in understanding how to do it.
Sure.
You follow suit. There's a trump. There's
9 cards.
You take a card.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed it. I'm giving this one a 7 out of 10. I found it to be it kind of hits me in that sweet spot where I'm playing it fairly casually.
Yes.
Like I I don't have to think too hard about this game. Right. But while I'm playing it, it's not a trick-taking game that's an autopilot.
No.
Because often they are. I'm like, okay, I'm going to play this, then this, then this. Oh, you know what? I already know all the rest of the cards. And I do like that about trick-taking games sometimes.
Yeah.
But in this one, I'm like, oh, wait, you just took that card back. I thought you were out of red. Mm-hmm. Now you took a card. That's changing things up. That's interesting, and it makes the actual gameplay a little bit more tactical.
Yes, I agree with that, and I tend to like tactical games. I just want to put it out there to give a little context. I'm giving it an 8. I am kind of in a big trick-taking mode right now. Well, it's absolutely not the cats. And actually, the cats work against it a little bit in a second. I'll talk. Yeah, because the graphic, there's a couple things that keep it from being excellent for me, okay? Number one is that it's a 3 to 4 player trick-taking game that is really a 4-player game, because I feel like at 3, the whoever is the first player is going to get to be first twice. And that matters in this game because being first means you're the first to predict. That's a pretty big benefit. That's a pretty big...
It is a nice benefit.
So, you're removing one, as I said in the overview, you remove one suit, the blue suit, if you're playing with 3. I think this is essentially a 4-player game. It works at 3. I played it at 3. Better at 4. That knocks it down a little bit. And the graphic design, while it's attractive to me, the numbers were not... I don't know. There were just a couple of graphic design, it's only on one side of the card. The numbers are only on one side of the card, and some of the numbers are a little bit off. It's not that big of a deal, but it's enough that I figured I would mention it. The card quality is fine, but not like... Yeah, so an 8. I really like it. Just slight from being excellent.
Well, there you go, folks. That's 9 lives. Me and Mike are down to 3. Trick-taking game. Check it out. Until next time, I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Mike DeLisio.
You've been watching and meowing at the Dice Tower.
Meow.